Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation 2. There will come a time in every gamer's life when they disagree with popular sentiment about a game. You would think this is okay, since it's not like games are required for survival like water or shelter, and are mostly just commercial products designed to make easy money. But people get attached to these things and the ideas put forth in those games that stick with them long after they put down their controller. Hell, I built this podcast on that very idea. But we don't all agree on what or why. And it is with that I say, Silent Hill 2, we need to talk. I'm about to propose an idea that runs counter to the very bedrock of video game nostalgia. Silent Hill 2 is a bad game. Not just badly made, or badly written and performed, which it certainly was, but it treats its serious subjects with contemptible disrespect. I have read many critical reviews and watched more than a few critic videos on this game, declaring it to be the video game equivalent of the Second Coming of Necrotic Christ. I have watched Let's Plays on it years after I played it, experienced it again through the eyes of a few new generations of video game players as well, as those who have not played it until now, whose universal response tends to come down to, "Wow, man, just wow." Quite the articulate statement. And the only thing I can say in reply is, did you play the same game I did? Did you see this bullshit? Are you that up your own ass? In all fairness, Silent Hill 2 does have atmosphere in spades, much like its PlayStation 1 predecessor. Team Silent, the team responsible for creating these foundation stones into modern games' lofty towers, did do that correctly. And as with my previous talk on Silent Hill, the concept is monsters metaphor. I got that. Don't even come at me with anything close to, "Did you understand this statement?" I got it. I fully grasped the plot. I just think it was a lead-up to garbage and disappointment. Silent Hill 2, released in 2001, starts on a mystery. Our new everyman, James Sunderland, gets a note from his wife to meet him at Silent Hill, their favorite vacation spot. Problem is, James's wife has been dead for some time. I should note at this point that I will be going very far into spoiler territory to make my point. So if you haven't played this game, be warned if you do care about spoilers on a 21-year-old game. Also, trigger warning for the topics that will be discussed. James arrives in Silent Hill and enters through the town cemetery, which could be seen as James passing from our normal world into the world of the dead, a place where only their rules apply. This is where, as opposed to the previous game, we begin to see the town of Silent Hill as a beast all its own, instead of just the outer rim of hell. There is a line of thought in some religious texts and theological philosophy that states hell is not so much a place where the wicked are punished, but instead its realm for the guilty. And by the guilty, I mean if you are someone who believes you are guilty of a crime or the like, you will go to hell, even if this is untrue. Under this sort of concept, someone with low self-esteem who believes they deserve nothing but harm will get exactly that and suffer for all eternity. But a mass murderer with supreme confidence in the belief that they have done nothing wrong will walk through the gates of paradise. An oversimplification, I admit, but you get the idea. Silent Hill is that sort of place. It feeds on feelings of guilt, whether deserved or not. And James certainly feels deep guilt about his wife's death and everything around it, and is certainly someone who suffers from low self-esteem. As James wanders the town, he begins to encounter monsters that reflect both his own esteem issues and some of his own feelings about guilt as his wife, who was dying of incurable cancer, was unable to be sexual. Malformed, mummified monsters that represent his own poor self-worth, and buxom, faceless nurses in short skirts coming at him with murder in mind. This culminates in the concept of encountering his own brutal assassin, a naked except for a loincloth wall of muscle, carrying a 6-foot-long butcher knife and wearing a red armored pyramid helmet that cannot be killed no matter how much damage it takes. This figure has become known as Pyramid Head within the game world, and its popularity led Konami, the game's producer, to insist the figure appear in every type of media that followed from Silent Hill 2. But James is not alone in this world of sorrow. Not long after, he meets a woman named Mary, who could be his dead wife's twin, and is almost certainly schizophrenic in nature. We realize quite quickly she's inclined to be abusive towards James and a gaslighter. The illusion here is that James was in an abusive marriage even before his wife got sick, and it only worsened from there. Male abusers in relationships by their partner is certainly an alien topic in the United States, and while we are slowly getting better at addressing this, in 2001 this was not even a topic, something considered ridiculous because the male needed to be a man, and this was just women being women. There is a rotten and thoroughly annoying child character that James becomes obsessed with rescuing because she claims to have met James's wife in life, as well as a childhood sexual assault survivor and another shady character whose only sin at first seems to be that he is fat and has been bullied for being fat. That is all the last two characters are as people, victims within the guilt vampire that is this fucking town. James must also confront the monsters born of these other people's psyches. Monsters based on rape and child pornography, on hate and disgust cultures hold towards obesity, and the automatic ridicule we offer it. These are incredibly sensitive topics, but it came off played as one-note, poorly written stock characters, and even in the few cases only serve as a cheap and tawdry monster mash for video game gristmill. Alright, time to overshare. As someone who has suffered low self-esteem all his life, still has mental scars from bullying, deals to this day with weight issues, and is himself a sexual assault survivor, the flippant and sometimes goofy nature of how these topics are handled is fucking unacceptable. Regardless, James moves forward through the varying degrees of Hieronymus Bosch game as art levels until he arrives at the Lakeview Hotel, where the final confrontation takes place. Along the way, we have learned that there is definite legal guilt among some of our cast. The young man who has been bullied for obesity did indeed kill his abuser, and while I do not condone this, I dare anyone to say that when, in the depths of our depression over bullying, they have not considered murder or suicide as their only way out. We must kill this young man for this, as he goes crazy and turns on us. The woman who suffered childhood abuse simply walks away into the burning ruins of her own memories to be eternally tortured. And James himself is also legally guilty. His wife, when in the grips of her pain, dared James to kill her in her hospital bed. When he hesitates, she decides to abuse him further, calling him a coward among other things, in order to goad his long-simmering rage toward her into action, which he does and smothers his wife to death with a pillow. Thus, his meeting with the Mary person/construct often ends in abuse. Again, anyone in such a horrible relationship needs to get out immediately, but long-term abuse coupled with low self-esteem can make this seem impossible. And certainly, the mountains of police stories about dead spouses who try to leave their abusers can attest to the failures of the legal system in being able to protect or do more. But James is not stupid, just awkward. And in truth, he should have just dipped out and left, filing for divorce even as his wife was dying. It can happen, it has happened, and it needed to happen. Or at the very least confront her and call her on her own shit, no matter the situation. James took the path of rage. His guilt stems only in part from this murder he committed and got away with. As one can guess by now, the final boss is James's dead wife, still strapped to her hospital bed as he left her, and he must kill her once again to be rid of his personal demons. Here is, as with the previous game, where the endings diverge. James either dies, becomes trapped in Silent Hill forever, or simply walks away from it all, like he should have done years earlier. There is even a joke ending, to lighten the mood, I know, but the game ends on a truly pick A, B, or C ending. You do not end trauma at the barrel of a gun. Even walking away and starting over does not end it. Trauma, especially after years of suffering, requires help and therapy for a long time. The weight of the story aside, It should never be made into a spooky shoot-'em-up video game, even if those elements are present in horror as a genre. Yes, it is just PlayStation 2 block polygons. Yes, the main voice cast speaks like they are robots just learning to be human for the first time. This was James's voice actor's first job, and he never voice acted again. While those are certainly limitations, the true limitation of Silent Hill 2 comes from between the ears of the developers. Any one of these topics is a game where serious discussion points that needed their own sort of addressing, not swirled together in a blender of ideas just for the atmospheric scares. Silent Hill 2 is not scary. It is depression without catharsis. It is a video gamey violence simulator dressed up in pop culture psychologist's smoking jacket, like an episode of Frasier filtered through an episode of The Twilight Zone after Rod Serling had a 2-week bender. Fuck this game from 2001 me when I played it, and it pissed me off then, and I didn't have the words for it on my own, for my own rage, and fuck this game now, and all the bullshit industry jerk-off praise it got over the years in between. Silent Hill 2 put me off the rest of the game series, and I have not touched another since. The only potential game in the series that would have had me come back would have been PT, had it been allowed to blossom into the full game of Silent Hills. But by now, we all know what happened to that game and the industry circus that surrounded it. And while we're at it, in the words of one James Stephanie Sterling, fuck Konami too. I am not interested in hate or being told I'm wrong. It is possible to have a visceral reaction to a game, but for the wrong reasons and with unintended consequences. I've said my piece now, and you, dear listener, will have to accept this. Acceptance is the first step in how trauma genuinely heals, and how unnecessary guilt is actually unburdened from those who bear it. Thank you for listening.